On this holiday weekend, Faith Salie introduces us to a new Washington memorial, more than 100 years in the making.
Over the past 40 years, memorials to America's 20th century wars have sprung up across Washington, D.C., with one conspicuous omission.
Why do you think it took so long to get a national memorial to World War I in our nation's capital?
If you ask anybody on the streets where the World War I memorial is in DC, most of them will point you to the DC Veterans Memorial. For a long time, people assumed that it was the national memorial, but the little rotunda that's there is only to district residents.
In 2015, Joe Weishaar was a 25-year-old intern at a Chicago architecture firm when he heard about an open design competition for DC's first national World War I memorial.
I set up a shelf in my closet. I set up my computer on the shelf, and that was my office.
You weren't even a licensed architect, so
I was doing this like in nights and weekends after work, and then I sent it off and forgot about it until I got a very strange phone call, and they're like, "You're one of 5 finalists. We need you in Washington like tomorrow."
Had you ever been to Washington, D.C.?
No, I'd never been. Didn't own a suit. Had never been to Washington.
I'm pleased to announce that the World War I Centennial Commission has selected the submission by Joseph Weishaar.
Weishaar's design beat out more than 360 applicants from over 20 countries. When the memorial opened to the public in 2021, only one thing was missing: an intricate 60-foot-long bronze relief, the memorial's centerpiece.
I threw out the last 100 years of history in the art world, and I went back to what preceded that period of time.
Meet Sabin Howard, firebrand, classical sculptor, and self-appointed bulwark against the scourge of modern art.
Artists like de Kooning or Jackson Pollock, I'm in opposition to them. It's a scam what's happened in the last 100 years. I'm here to rectify that scam.
Shepherding Howard through the Byzantine approvals process was his client, the congressionally created World War I Centennial Commission.
You go to these meetings and none of the people in the room are artists. They're all lawyers and, Washington bureaucrats. The commission asked me, we need to see more a dying soldier perhaps and more suffering. And then I started posing the models. You had madness, you had amputations, death. So I went pretty deep, and when I brought that iteration into the commission office, chairs went flying, literally, across the room.
Literally someone threw a chair.
Yes. I was treated as, you're working for us, and I took that for a long time. But then we got to a moment in the relationship, I stood up and I said, I will not compromise this design. If you don't like it, you sculpt it and I'll send you some webinars.
The World War I Centennial Commission said they are proud of the magnificent memorial that Joe Weishaar and Sabin Howard have created, and that it provides a model of how a complex and collaborative process can work.
It is a movie in bronze,
Sabin Howard may lack tact, but he doesn't lack confidence.
If you look at this figure, I don't think in the history of art that there's ever been a figure with this much explosive energy.
The sculpture charts a soldier's wartime journey, from his ambivalent departure to his wordless homecoming, to the animal savagery of combat in between.
Were these young men prepared for what they were going to find?
They were not prepared for what they were going to find. Just the quagmire, the terror of artillery shells, rats and lice and trench feet. No, they are completely unprepared.
For World War I historian Jennifer Keene, the sculpture's final tableau illustrates the heavy toll the war exacted on its veterans.
I think that idea at the end that it's just a gesture, right? Here's the helmet. There's no words there because maybe there aren't words that can really describe what that soldier has been through.
It's not like graceful or like happy, it's solemn. She's like 2 feet shorter than the soldiers, but she holds up as a bookend
Yes.
the whole wall. a little kid. So there you have it. 60 feet, 25 tons, and 38 figures.
9 years of your life.
Yeah, but that's not a lot when you think about it.
The sculpture will be unveiled at a ceremony later this month.
100 years from now, what do you want a visitor to your memorial to experience?
I want the visitor 100 years from now to have the same feeling that I had when I went to go see the David when I was 25. We are made in God's image. That sculpture is made in God's image. So is mine. It's a simple thing, but very deep.